welcome to a new episode of Question the Truth, here with me, Querzion, or Slisk Lindqvist, as my name usually is, for everyone around me anyway. This is a new Impulsive Compulsion, and I'm gonna talk about I am. For I am I, and therefore I am. So we're gonna write that. There. Perfect. That's good. And yeah, I don't really know where to start with this at all. We could just start with different perspectives of life, different perspectives overall. Because I've been watching a whole lot of things. I'm trying to I've always been me, like myself, all the time. So I learned a lot. Let's not use that. Yeah, so how should I put it? There's a lot of perspectives in the world. And I get misunderstood a whole lot because people don't listen. People generally do not listen to other people. Instead, they take for granted that they know what was spoken of, and then everything becomes wrong. So I've stated that there is no good and there is no evil in the world, and people get all crazed up, and the first thing they think of is rapes and murders. And I think, what happened to those poor people to not respect themselves and not respect others, to not put a value upon other people? And then the same thing happens. Someone get murdered, and the victim everyone feels the loss because of the victim. And then they look upon the killer, and all they see is a monster. I don't see a monster, I often enough see a person that's driven upon impulses, that doesn't necessarily have a good measure of maturity, a person that doesn't have any self-control or self-respect, doesn't respect if you don't respect yourself, you don't respect others. It's that easy. For me, it's quite easy to state it, but that's because I know it's like this. It's of course there's the perspectives of good and evil, but in reality it's just limited perspectives of reality. The same comes to lies. Lies do not exist. It's a limited perspective of the truth. Because a lie is a truth for the one that speaks it, until it's proven otherwise. But then, it's still not a lie. It was just a limited perspective of the truth. So that's why I do not see evil in the world. Sure, I've been saddened because I took one person's truth and I made it a lie. That's a usual thing that we do. We don't think properly. And instead of trying to understand, trying to be compassionate to other people, we instead oppress them by stating our own law to them. And what I mean by that is that every single individual has their own values and morals that they live by. Even if we have a general way of laws created, it's I can see the function of the law system. I also see the functions of society, but I do see faults. Not that they were created with that intent or purpose, it's just that they didn't know what I know. That's the bigger problem. There's so much pride in people. They have high positions, and because of the high position, they tend to feel that they are righteous. But we aren't righteous, we're self-righteous. There is only one righteous thing to live by, and that is what I try to live by, and that is that all life is equal and all life is sacred. Therefore I do not kill or hurt others, not in a physical way anyway. And even if I state something that might be savage and brutal, it's my perspective, and it's not wrong. And if you get hurt, then it's not my fault, because you are the one that takes the empty glass and fills it with the dirt that you see. You are the one that stands there quietly and project yourself upon others, so that you can state your misery upon others and kill them in a sense. And that is what means by not killing. You shall not kill. It's that easy. Do not take your perspective and put it upon others, because you kind of kill the other one. But it's also like this. Upon that life is equal and sacred, if you respect life, life will respect you in return. And by that it means that it will return to you. Life is the joy and happiness, the smiles, the cries, everything. Life is everything. We live for life. Death is part of life. Therefore, life is the only option. There is no death. Well, you can have your heart broken many times over, but that isn't death. That is that is maturity rising up. Every time something happens, if you take it for granted and don't learn from it, you will be doomed to repeat that thing again. It's that easy. I try to also live by what I state to others. I state that the only thing I know is that I know nothing. And that should be the proper thought pattern for everyone. Because you don't know anything about anyone else. You barely know yourself. It's to learn to know yourself, you actually have to go past all your problems that you see in others. What you see in others is a self-projection of yourself. It's your self-image being cast upon everyone else. And if you try to place judgment upon that image, then you totally miss the whole thing about everything. Now, there's been a lot of people that's been trying to release themselves from the ego. I never did that. I stated that if it is a part of me, then I have to accept it. And I started to question my ego and question all the decisions that I had taken and everything that I will take. And I've questioned a lot about myself. This channel here is not for others. It was brutally executed by my inner self for me. It was for me to question the truth of everything. But why? Why is it that I should question the truth of everything? And now I kind of know. At the same time, it's I have very little wrath, very little pain, very little sorrow, a whole lot of happiness and wonder, and I watch, I observe, I listen. And foremost, I listen to myself to become more intuitive. I have answers to things that I probably shouldn't have answers to. I know things without even thinking about them. I know everything and anything about Basically, basically anything. But at the same time, I know that I know nothing. And because of that notion, I learn from others. Because listening is learning, and following is leading. And you need to listen to yourself in order to become whole. So there, every person has two sides to them, even if they don't want to admit it. The whole duality with heaven and hell and angels and demons, it is what's been kind of understood, but then misplaced in one way. I came to realize that I am I, and I have always been I, so that I could be who I am. Just to be. I am. I am here. I am there. I am now. I don't care what others think, because it's what they think, not what I think. But I do listen occasionally to others, and I listen even if they don't think I do. And when I state they, I mean the people around me. Because I have this notion, this perspective, that humans are essentially egocentric. And even if we mean this or that, we usually mean something else. And that is why I state that it's not silence is silver, and speaking is gold, or speaking is silver and silence is gold, which is the duality of Swedish and English. They're two opposites of the same thing. But instead I state that speaking is silver and truth is gold, and love comes in the bundle, basically. When you understand others that you speak with, and you do not project yourself upon them, then you see them. You see the person that you are talking to. A wonderful spirit in front of you. Very nice person. But I use the eyes. I've always used the eyes. I can see the sorrow in people. I can see the happiness in some. And it's not just people. I see it in animals too. And that is why I'm always trying to be calm. Because I try to understand, or rather I try to foresee what is and what isn't. Because I do no longer understand things. And I never overstood anything either. I just see. I observe. And I listen. I did learn about the law of one recently, that one is one, or rather 1 plus 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is phi, and phi stands for growth, both inner and outer. My wars within have ended. Kind of. In one way. When it comes to the other way, it's still the ego. The ego is the self-projection and the need to control what you see or own, which is something I see as wrong. Even though I want others to know the same things I know, so I'm very subtle with pointing it out. But too much and it starts to become manipulation, and I'm against manipulation. And too little, well, usually ends in the departure of a friendship that was long. Even though I have a large amount of perspectives that I can take in, and I can foresee why and how it came to be that some things happen. It's not like I can put my hand upon people and then just give them everything I know. Not yet, anyway. I don't know if I want to either, because it's sound. Sound for me is a bit dangerous. If you do it the wrong way, you can ultimately change the person, but in a good way, usually. I've noticed that I have been wrong. Well, I cannot be wrong. I can be limited in my observations. Now, and how I've seen it is that when I speak to others, I free them in one way. I free their hearts so they can once again put them together and become one with themselves. That is the law of one. to become one with yourself, to become the Lord of the Lords and the King of the Kings within. I'm already there. It's nothing special, really. I'm Lord over myself, my mind, and my body. Kind of. Not really yet. Because while I can hear every thought that I have and react upon them before I state them, I still react to other things. And I'm trying new things. Which I'm not ready to talk about just yet. I stated early on that there was something strange with the name Jesus. Even though I find it to be that there might have been, might have been a person for real that did what he did. He also knew what I know, and if we gave those around him and he stated that he died for their sins, but it was his own judgment that saw the sins to begin with and filled them with sadness. This is what happens to everyone. We see things that we think is wrong, and we get filled with sadness from it. But then again, Jesus was killed because others thought they were right. And here comes the redemption of the whole thing. None of them did anything wrong. It's a very dark thing to state, but how were they to know that they did wrong? They acted impulsively. They hadn't come to the state of mind that he had. But then I've been thinking of all the languages that is, and I was thinking Jesus. I was thinking French. I don't know why, but I just thought of it like that. And in French, his name is Jesus. But I was thinking in a whole other range of thoughts. I did no longer think of Jesus as the person, but rather a name or a puzzle. And I wanted to solve it, so I solved it. Je m'appelle means my name is, or I am. So I took the first je, which is in Jesus, which is I, and then it would be I is us, which is that Jesus is within us. And then comes the hard part, and that is those that see the sorrow in others are the ones that becomes or opens up to be the saviors of themselves and not others. But in order to become a savior of yourself, you need to go through duality and understand it, and then overstand it, and then just see it for what it is. As long as you pick a side, you're gonna be bundled up, and you're gonna be part of the duality forever in one way. Well, from your birth till your death. So to become one with yourself, to become one is to be I am. In English, it's me and I, which becomes I am. But me and I is we, and that's one duality. So we have the next duality, which is I and you is us, and that is I is us. So you is Jesus. So I love you, which is part of myself. And when I love my misery as much as my happy thoughts, that is when I become us with myself. And when I go past us, I become I, which is singular, I'm no longer divided by the logical or the creative. I'm no longer divided by this is for that and that is for this. I am no longer divided by using one half of my brain. I instead state that I have one brain, and that is who I am, whole. I am one. And when you've seen past four, well, you have 7. So you have the good and the evil, and you have the middle road. And within the good, there are two dualities, and within the bad is 2 dualities, because what is good for one person is bad for the other. I can't really remember the 4 dualities at the moment. One of them is self-righteous. And that is not being right towards others. Not towards self either. If I could just find the 4. I know I wrote them down somewhere. I have so many papers here. I keep writing down things. It's easier to have it in physical paper, that's how I see it. So you have the self-righteous and the arrogance. And then you have the ignorant and something else. I can't remember. Can't remember everything. Myself is one. Me and I is we, and I and us is one. For I and you is us. This is a bit complicated maybe, but when we state me or you, we mean parts of ourselves and not others. Because we are individuals. We are divided within. That's the easiest part to state it, or the easiest way to state something. People are divided within themselves. And when you're whole with yourself, you're truthful towards yourself, and you're truthful towards others, even though others are not capable of taking in the same perspectives. I would like to see a whole world where everyone is kin to kin. There are no kings or presidents or leaders, because we can govern ourselves. But in order to come there, or get to that point, we actually need to be truthful towards ourselves and question ourselves and our own judgment towards others. We need to read what we write to others, basically. That is what I do. And what I state to others, I also state to myself. For I learn from myself as I teach to others. That is to follow and to lead. That is to listen and to learn. I think this video has gone on long enough now, and I will be making more videos soon enough again. I'm going to talk about the universal balance, which is a project that I have, a life philosophy, and I have already stated its core, which is all life is equal and all life is sacred. Respect life and life will respect in return. That is the core of the universal balance. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching.